All right, welcome back, guys, to the channel. Today we have for you guys a bass lesson, and more specifically, we're gonna go over the C major scale. All right, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, so we're gonna go more in depth into what the different parts of the scale mean. All right, so to study the scale, we're going to study it as a formula. Okay, so you guys may have heard this formula before, maybe in different ways, but we're just gonna break it down. Okay, so if you know it already, cool. If you don't, then let's get into it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is whole steps and half steps. All right, so basically a whole step on the bass would mean from one fret, all right, and you pass the another fret and you go to the next one. So the bass is broken up into half steps, and each fret is a half a step basically. So when you have C right here, a half step up is C sharp or D flat, all right, and then another half step is D. So two half steps, 1, 2 from C is one whole step. All right, so this is a half step from C. This is two half steps from C, in essence, a whole step. All right, so it's broken down into whole steps and half steps. All right, so you started off by your root note, which is C, and then you take a whole step. All right, and then you take another whole step, and then you take a half step, and then you take a whole step, another whole step, another whole step, and then a half step to go back to C. That's the same note. Okay? So it's basically root note, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? So that's the formula for the major scale. So it doesn't have to just be for C. So you could do it for D as well. So let's say we're in the key of D. So we'll start with a D as our root note now. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. All right, so whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Back to D where we started. So that's the formula. All right, so now there are different, of course, shapes you could play the scale, or different fingering you could use to play the scale. So this fingering is finger number 2, right? So this finger is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you start with this finger, it's finger number 2. All right, so this shape starts with the finger number 2. So you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Right? So it's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Again, root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. All right? Now, there's other fingering you could use, of course. You could use this fingering, starting with this finger 1 here. Root, whole step, half step, whole step. All right, half step back to your root. All right, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, it's the same thing as this one. All right, so there's another one. You can start right here. So if you have your C right here and you move that up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you move a string lower, it's the same note. C, C. So from C, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets or half steps, and you go up a string lower or down a string lower, you'll get back to your C. So with this C, we can still play all the different fingerings we had before. Or this one. now it gives us, since we have 4 strings now, we could play with, we could use this fingering. So basically you start with C right here. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, it's still the same formula. So whole step, so root, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? All right, so now the next thing I want to talk about is the different notes and their numbering, basically. You know, this is your first note, so that's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and back to number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So with the numbers that we have that we're working with right now, there are things we could do with them. So as we know, the number 1 in the C major scale is major, right? So it's major. Number 2 is minor, okay? Number 3 is minor. Number 4 is major. Number 4 is major. Number 5 is major. Number 6 is minor. Number 7 is diminished. And back to number 1, which is major. So I have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. All right? Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. Now, there are intervals within the scale, right? So this is one interval, right? This is another interval. That's 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 another interval. So this one is just one interval away from the root note. So that's the second one. This one is a third interval away, right? So that's the third note. This one is the fourth interval away. It's called the perfect fourth. We'll get into that later. And then we have the fifth interval, right? Sixth interval, seventh interval, and to the octave, which is the same note but played higher. So you have second interval, third interval, fourth interval, fifth interval, sixth interval, seventh interval, and back to the root. Okay? So the thing about the intervals is it's the same thing as I was saying earlier. The second interval is typically minor. All right? So when we're at the D, we know we're playing with a minor and a minor interval. The second is minor. The third interval is also minor. So the same thing apply, right? Okay, so the third interval is minor. The fourth interval is major. Not only is it major, but it's the perfect fourth. And why is it called the perfect fourth? It's because if C were to be major, right? C major, it's still the fourth. If it was to be C minor, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it's still the fourth. And the same thing with the 5. So it's in the major scale, 5, 6, 7, 1. It's in the minor scale, C minor, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So because those notes don't change, they're the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth. Fourth and fifth. All right, so that's pretty much all you need to know as far as the scale to kind of help you to understand the formula behind it. Remember, the formula is the root note, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. All right, root, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's the major formula. All right, in the same way, we have a major formula for our major scale, the natural minor scale, right? Let's say C was a minor, right? There's also a formula for the minor scale. Okay, so let's say we're in C minor. Okay, so it'll be root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, right? Root, whole step, half step, half step, whole step. Okay, back to the root. All right. So in essence, you have one whole step, two whole step, three whole step, and then another whole step, and another whole step. So how many whole steps we have? From here to here, one. From here to here, two. From here to here, three. From here to here, four. From here to here, five. All right, 5 whole steps and 2 half steps. It's just the ordering is different. So C major, let's go back to C major. It's the same thing, right? So we have whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, right? So whole step, that's 1. Whole step, that's 2. Whole step, that's 3. Whole step, that's 4. Whole step, that's 5. And then you have your 2 half step. All right, so it's still the same amount of whole step and half step, but how you arrange the formula is different. So the major arrangement is whole step, half step, whole step, half step. The minor formula is whole step, half step, half step, whole step. All right. Once again, the major formula is whole step. So root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. The minor one is root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. Okay, so that's the 2 formulas that you can use to build you either a major scale or a minor scale. Okay, so one sounds more happy. Okay, one more time. And one sounds more sad. Okay. Okay, minor. Major. All right, that's pretty much it for this video as far as our major or minor scale. Remember, there's just the major scale and the natural minor scale. There are other scales for minor and other different scales. You have the blues scales, you have the harmonic minor scale, melodic minor scale, all sorts of different scale, but pentatonic scales. But this one is just basically your bare bone basic scales, the major scale and the minor scale, and the formulas that you need to use to build those scales on any note. It doesn't have to be in C. It could be in D. It could be in E, F. It doesn't matter. G. It's the same concept. So let's say, for example, we're to be in the key of G, right? So it's the same thing. If I have a G major scale, I'm going to use whole step, half step, whole step, half step, right? But if it was G minor, right? Same thing, but minor. So I have root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Just like that. Doesn't matter where we are, as long as you know the formula of how to build the scale, the major or the minor scale, you can build it. In every scale, there's a formula behind it. And all you have to do is remember the formula. Okay, that's all. All right, so thank you guys for watching. And we'll go more in depth with these formulas, okay? We'll go more in depth with different scales in different ways we can break down the major scale and the things that are in it and the different scales that are within the major scale. Because in essence, even though we're in C, right, we can build 7 different scales from the same notes that's in the C major scale, and that's called the modes. So we'll do that in a different lesson where we break down the different modes, where we essentially just playing the same notes of the C major scale, but we're starting off on different position or different numbers of the scale. It could be the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, or the seventh. And all of those are a different scale in themselves, and they all have a different formula as well. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Next week we'll have more in the bass. We'll probably go over our modes on the next lesson that we do. Okay, thank you guys for watching. All right, guys, so we just went over our scale formula for the major scale and also for the minor scale. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get more content, as every week we'll be coming out with different things to help you guys out on your instrument. Okay, so stay tuned, and if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Have a great one.